I am so privileged to interview today's guest, my former coach, my former geometry student. I think it's been over 10 years, definitely over 10 years.
Yeah.
She is presently an amazing life coach who transformed my life. Working with her has been it's been a life-changing experience. I published Mama's Gotta Let Go during my coaching with you. I've faced a lot of demons. I've really transformed in more ways than you realize. Melinda Chinen is passionate about self development, spirituality, wellness. I enjoy reading what she writes, watching her creative art, and she definitely does stretch her capacity to just fully self express and just help others also do the same. So, in this context, I just wanted to ask her a kind of private question, but I was just telling her earlier, she's my first non parent, but I'm realizing if we don't interview and talk to adult children and see what they missed out on, or maybe how their parents raised them, we will never know as parents of someone who's 10 years younger than you, 14 years younger than you. How can we change and break this very dysfunctional cycle where we are damaging our children's self-esteem, we are destroying their dreams, and basically stealing their just confidence in themselves, where they're afraid to, they don't even know how to embrace their authenticity because they don't know who they are. So when you reflect back to your childhood, maybe it was during the time that I tutored you. I know as a teenager you were into swimming and band and academics and everything. What do you think would have helped you develop a healthier, confident mindset? I know you shared you are a people pleaser, and that might have hindered um, owning who you are today. That's a mouthful, but
It's a great question. One that um, I pondered a lot actually for a long time. And so I'm really grateful that you brought this opportunity for me to dissect it and more expressively, because I think it's so important. The the first few things that come to mind that I think would have like impacted my childhood differently had I known it. Um, and like we talked about, it's not a jab to my parents because they're great and they were only operating within like the resources that they knew how, and the life that they had before me too from their parents. But the thing that I learned as an adult that has me reach goals, like actually reach goals, is I don't beat myself up to success. And I think in like the way that I was raised, it was very much like an automatic for my parents to like shame or guilt me into being good and like reaching goals and even developing goals. And I know that had a really big subconscious impact on like my self-worth and my belief of like I'm only worthy if I get those things. And I to do those things, like it came from a place of shame rather than from like self-belief and like um, just getting back up if you fall down. So there was like a perfectionist side to me, and combined with the people pleaser side, it was just
mm-hmm.
like a, oh my gosh, I didn't do anything that could risk failure or shame or guilt. Like those are just the automatic reactions I would have if I didn't do well at something or or failed, is
Mm-hmm.
to feel that. And so you don't do anything, and um bless my parents, but I can remember there were moments where, you know, their automatic is to like shame or guilt me into you know, getting the fire under my ass to like
To
try
do
again
it.
or do something. Yeah, and it wasn't until I broke up all of that over the last few years did I realize what an impact that had. um
So
yeah,
is
so the
disappointing your parents something that you that was like one of the goals, like I cannot disappoint my parents?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. It felt like the end of the world thinking about if I did.
What did it
And
mean? What would it mean if you disappointed them?
it meant that I was a failure, that I wasn't a good daughter or even like a good person. I wasn't enough. And it's so interesting because choosing a career in life coaching actually really did challenge that between me and my parents. Like, I think society has this, it's not subliminal messaging, but this messaging that there's just like a right way for your child to make it in
Yes.
life. And naturally, like, life coaching is a really new industry. So my parents were like really skeptical and um, fearful for me and concerned. And that triggered a lot of like, oh gosh, I'm about to disappoint them. And um, just, I don't know, like triggers of shame were like trickling in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so great because like I've worked through so much of that. And now when there's anything that they feel like um, they have to bring to me out of concern about who I am and what I do and just anything, I feel like I can separate between like, oh, like I can tell that who I am or something I did bothers you. What do you need for that? Instead
Wow.
of like instead of like really taking it personally, it's so much easier now for me to like separate what is their stuff to own and what is mine to own, you know? But that took time. That took a
That's
lot of
that's
time.
that's powerful though, because as a child, I think when you're told, and a lot of these parents don't know how to communicate unless they say, just get your act together. You're failing X number of classes. You're missing 18 assignments. Just do it. And then their child is not a people pleaser.
Mm,
So they're like, now it's 21 assignments. Just do it. And they don't log on, fall asleep, they take a shower, and then, so what do you
yeah.
think is happening? I don't know. I mean, you were raised where you wanted to, right? You wanted to please your parents. How do you think parents can help their child so that they do raise someone who isn't fearful of disappointing them? Are there words that your parents could have said that you think might have, like, your fear wouldn't have been there because you would have been like, you know what? And that it's kind of a hard, it doesn't have to be exact words, but how, there's something that probably could have been said, or maybe a subliminal message that they could have given you, whether it's pursuing something that they don't agree on, or
Yeah.
maybe a decision like you want to quit band or something, and they want you to do it. Or I'm just saying stuff, like you want to do something, they're like, Melinda, I don't think that would be a good decision. And so you say, okay, and then years later you think, you know what, I wanted to fill in the blank. So my purpose is to almost educate parents in, not saying that they're doing anything wrong, but I think they're so powerful. Do you think they're
Mhm.
so powerful that they can either have that magic wand to really lead their children to grow, or to maybe stifle does that make sense? Either
Yeah.
kind of like, no, I want you to be safe and just do this. And you're like, no, but I want to soar to Venus. And they're like, you must stay on Earth.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny you say that. Um, okay, well, first I have to clear the air and say that in high school, I definitely rebelled against my parents. Like I wasn't all just good. I think,
Wow. Can you share one thing?
yeah, well, I I don't know why, but when I was a junior in high school, I suddenly just had this revelation where I was like, I am not living for me and I'm tired of just being good. I'm dropping this because
Well,
like
I'm glad you didn't drop tutoring.
oh yeah, no, that brought me joy. That brought me great joy and A's. So really grateful to understand math better. Um, but I made it really clear to them, and I think it shocked them because I was so obedient up until a certain point where I was like, I'm so sensitive, so it really impacts me when I can't numb out from how miserable I am. It's because I'm so, I feel it so deeply. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
at that point I just felt like I was like a robot going from this to this to this, and like my friends were the same. And but it just didn't quite all resonate with me, and so I dropped a few things. um it caused conflict, you know, just because it was just so new for my parents. But at the same time, I remember they like, it's kind of like they had to live with it. Like they just,
So they accepted it though. They didn't say, you know what, I'm sorry, but you are keeping this particular activity. They actually accepted it.
I think to a degree they definitely like, they're great. Like they gave me space to go through that, but like also I was still doing a bunch of other stuff. So it's not like I just like completely dropped everything. I just dropped the stuff that
Didn't
I didn't
serve
want to do.
you.
Yeah, like swim team and water polo and a bunch of other stuff. And um yeah, um the other thing I was going to say to that is I think the thing that when I look back and would have been a game changer for how I related to myself and how I wish my parents saw me
Mm-hmm.
was I felt like because I was so obedient, I was like their little bird, you know, their little bird. The way, okay, so I, for people who don't know,
You rescued a
like
bird.
on my Instagram, yeah, my parents found a baby bird, brought it home 2 months ago, and we've been raising it. And I've fallen in love with this bird in a way that I did not know I could feel about love. And I like will never forget. I think about a month ago, I was feeding the bird, and then it flew off of me, but it flew further than even it expected. And I could tell it surprised itself. And so it began like searching like around our garage, like looking in crevices and under the car. And I could feel this maternal part of me that was like, oh no, my bird is like, is developing. And now the world really can hurt it. You know, now like it could leave me. And that like anticipated loss that coupled with like just my awareness now, like, oh my god, that's how much I love this freaking thing,
And that's
really
how
showed.
parents feel, right? You're a teenager, you're not a kindergartner. It's like, okay, eat your broccoli, do this, do this. And then at this magical age, they're like, no, no, I'm not
Yeah,
doing it. And you're
yeah,
like, wait a minute, you
I can
have
only
to.
imagine.
Nope, I'm not going to do that assignment. I'm not going to do that project because I don't want to. And you're,
I can
so what,
imagine.
so, yeah, so
uh,
what did you learn?
so it's funny, I dissected this with my life coach, like my the way that I am with love,
Yes.
um, is when I love something so much, I will still relate to it as like a baby bird. Like the world could hurt you, you're so precious to me, I love you so much, but also that means I have to keep you safe. And the way in which I'm now striving to love is from a place of relating to that baby bird as like an eagle. Like you are resilient, you are whole, you are enough, you are young, but you've got those big wings. And your job is to have a seat in your own soul, you know, just become undone over and over again, but on your terms.
You
And
know, if your
so,
parents said that, would that have made, I mean, just hearing that
yeah,
message, I think every mom should write that down. It's like on an index card because it's the fear of what if they make a bad choice? What if they fail? What if they're, you know?
yeah, I get it. I can imagine it's terrifying. When I let out the bird to go wander around our neighborhood without me looking, all of those fears flood me of like, you may not come back. Um, you've never done this before. What if
You
you
might
get,
encounter a cat. You might,
yeah,
right? And so a teenage parent is like that. What if someone entices you with drugs? What if you end up failing this class because you're not logging on into your distance learning class? What if
yeah,
I fail because you're a reflection of my parenting, and I'm inadequate as a parent if I
yeah,
don't make sure that you follow this road. So can you
yeah.
just say that? I think that those are such powerful statements to tell a child. Can you just, I think that is just so enlightening. So we
Thanks. Yeah,
should say,
um,
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think those are just such something about like their whole exactly the way they are.
I mean, I think the most powerful thing you could do for another person and another child is just um, remind them that like they are whole and complete as they are. They are
No
not
matter
broken,
what.
no matter what. Yeah, and like our purpose on this earth isn't just to be good and tamed. It's to be like fully expressed and alive. And with that is going to come trials and tribulations. Like a good life isn't just a safe life, a perfect life. Like that's impossible. And the more you strive for that, the more you're just going to disappoint yourself and others. But um, yeah, I think when you can just remind someone like they are enough for all that they are, it really builds like a well of trust within them to do hard things, to believe in themselves, to just have like a sturdy resilience when they're met with criticism or judgment or bullying or who knows what, right? And I think so many times like parents are afraid of like, well, I'll just inflate my child's ego, right? Like how do I instill humility and not, enforce like be big headed? And I actually think there's a huge difference between like being really egoic and knowing who you are. I think when you encourage a child to know who they are and trust who they are, that is so deeply connected to humility, right? Like they just know it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to like project widely for like the world to know. Yeah. So,
Wow. You're right, though. I think that's why you make a great coach because when we were working together, I didn't realize perfectionism, the stress and pressure to perform and achieve a certain goal, you think reflects on your value. And I think children who do not, rise up to the expectation of getting honor roll and they're getting straight F's or they're getting D's, and the parents are making them feel this is unacceptable. But if you, and it's a mindset change because seeing the beauty of F's not an easy thing to do. I only had one dad who said, I want to see the occasional F, but my wife doesn't. And I thought, why? And I asked him, he said, because I want them to know that they are not defined by their grades and that F is going to help them build, like you said, resiliency. And I thought, wow.
that's incredible.
It's the
Wow.
only parent in 21 years.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
It makes sense because if you can't handle the trials and tribulations as a child, and those F's do mean the end of the world, well, from a parent's perspective sometimes, and then the parent tells you, do you know how destructive you're being by not doing this, this, and this? And then, like what you just said, you do not have any confidence. You can't even build your confidence because your wings are clipped
Mm-hmm.
and you can't even venture out. I mean, I bet this bird is teaching you so much about parenting.
I was just telling my boyfriend, I was like, I hope this transfers over to when we have kids one day because the way that my heart muscles are like, transforming
Yes.
are just, it's nothing like I've ever experienced. Like parenting is, oh God, what a leap of like faith, but also just what a generous act of love, you know? And then and then actually raising a child from a place of like honoring who they are and like owning your stuff, I can't even imagine.
When what you just said,
You.
what you just said, yeah, owning your stuff, but letting them, like letting that little bird, your little child, go off and do things that you don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the challenge. It's like, wait a minute, you're happy with the D's and F's, I'm not.
Yeah.
So get your act together. I'm taking your phone away.
Oh
That's
my
what
God.
happens a lot. That's what happens a lot. It's like you can't go to the prom. I'm going to pull you off from the football team. I mean, whatever it is. And it sends a message
Yeah.
opposite of what you just said. You are not enough.
Mm-hmm.
You are incompetent. You are a disappointment. And I'm embarrassed. You're not saying it, but it's almost like the parent is saying, I'm just embarrassed to be your parent.
Yeah. That's rough. That's really, really rough. Yeah. Yeah. Really rough. Yeah.
So as we close, what's one thing or a final message that a mom can say to your child, say today, just to, instead of clipping those wings, what can they say to just help their child soar the way that they were meant to soar?
Oh my God.
Anything?
I think so. You don't have to say this like word for word,
Right,
but something
right.
that I have been practicing with other people. Um, what am I trying to say? I think the thing I would have for parents is if you are to give your child feedback and it it's going to be vulnerable and it's going to be hard or it's uncomfortable, I think the most powerful thing you could do at the same time is also say, but I love you. Like when I say this to you, it's not meant for you to be received as criticism or that something's wrong with you or that you're not enough. um, and when I say this to you, I want you to remember that I also really love you.
Wow. I don't know why that brings tears to my eyes. I think we want to say I love you, we mean to say I love you, but the advice kind of comes out and then you feel so maybe frustrated, so then you walk away and you forget that those words, but I love you, I'm saying this out of love, would change the way that the message is received.
Yeah, 1000%. 1000%. I think we forget, like, when we receive feedback or anything, that the people telling it to us love us. And that's what has us, like, start to close up and get defensive and feel like we have to, like, rebel or run away. And I imagine that's the last thing that a parent who loves their child would want. Um, yeah. So,
Well, I think it's just a default thing because you just end up scolding or lecturing, and then you
yeah.
forget to say, I'm doing this out of love, but it sounds more like, you know what, you better do this or your phone's going to be taken away. So maybe.
I swear, love always wins. It really does.
Yes.
Always, always. Can I actually say one more thing about that?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Definitely.
So I'm sure my family, we're on open books, so we don't mind, and it's authenticity first. When my brother was really going through it, I think in like between high school and the first couple years of college,
Hmm.
my parents were so frustrated with him because he was like just not. He just was really, I don't know what he was going through, but it was evident that like he was going through something and it was impacting them. And I remember overhearing my parents talking about, like, what do we do about it? How do we be with him? And my dad was so adamant. He's like, we just have to love him. Like, love, love
Wow.
will change him, and during his time, like, it has to be his time. But like, I refuse to stop showing him how much we love him through whenever he comes out of his phase. And I remember hearing that and being like that's beautiful, but like you're still nervous because you don't see like the results.
Yes.
Now I can say, like, oh my God, I think this is like the happiest my brother has ever been.
How old is your
um
brother now?
23. 23
Oh my
still.
gosh, he was just a little boy when I saw him
Yeah. Yeah, it's
11
crazy.
years ago.
But he's like he's like good, you know what I mean? And he has such a strong relationship with my parents too. And there's just so much love and like just realness between all of us. But um, I'm so thankful that my dad had said that and that he was so adamant. Like, you have to trust love will change people, regardless of where they're at, you know, with themselves. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Trusting that love will help your child go through it all.
Yeah.
It sounds so simplistic, doesn't it? When you're like, but please, can you just sign on your distance learning and just pay attention so you don't fail? But like you said, the love part
Yeah.
will make them feel that they're enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad I decided to do this, Melinda. Thank you so, so much. I know you're really, really busy, but you just kept popping up, and I thought, you know what? I think this is a sign to just interview you, because I thought it was only parents that
Mm-hmm.
have these words of wisdom. And I thought, wait a minute. If you're not a parent, all of us are kids. What a great opportunity to find out from someone in their 20s and just ask them. And you're fortunately open to doing this kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, I'm so honored. You have the best ideas, first of all, and the best intuition. So I
Oh.
totally was like, hell yes, when you texted me thinking
Yeah, I was
about
like, oh,
this.
well, is she gonna do it? Yeah, she's gonna do it.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And my heart is so warm and so big. You're just the best. You really are.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, if you know anyone who is frustrated with their child, that's my new mission, and send them my way, and I will do the same with
I'll
you,
do.
because you have changed the way that I think about myself. I am trying to work on the self-criticism thing, but I'm aware of it. I'm aware of it, and that's my message to my daughter, who keeps saying, I'm just making bad decisions, and I'm just such a, and I thought, oh my gosh, okay, you know what a coach told me? But I'm realizing, if she doesn't do it, I mean, she's 18, and I want her to, like, learn this lesson, and it will just save you. And then she keeps beating herself up. And I just
Mm,
realized today, like your dad, that's what I have to do. I have to love her and not, you know what I mean? Because if she just changes this, she'll stop throwing up. She'll stop feeling stress. But I guess I can't maneuver that journey.
mm, yeah. Oh my gosh. See, parenting sounds like a whole different
Yeah.
level of can't even
So it's
put
like
your
if your bird is going towards a cat,
yeah.
and the cat's like, and you want to just, I mean, that is where I've heard that if it's dangerous, like
Mhm,
self-harm, drugs, that kind of thing. But if your cat is going towards, you don't know where,
mhm.
which you've been there, and you just have to say, you know what? I trust in his journey.
Yep.
So a parent is like, that's the hardest thing, to trust and say, I'm sending you off in this COVID world. I know you will do the right thing. And that's it. And I will love you from afar, even if you fill in the blank. That's what I just read. Even if you, and that helps a child feel loved.
1000%. Yeah. 1000%.
Okay, well, go ahead and touch lives. And thank you so much, Melinda. This really meant a lot to me.
Thank you. This is beautiful.
Okay, take care. I'll talk to you
Okay.
later. Bye.
Bye.